I worked the overnight shift at Walmart for about 8 months. Most nights were exactly the same. Stock the shelves, sweep the floors, do a cart run at 3 a.m. when the parking lot was completely dead. I'd done that cart run probably 100 times without anything happening. It was the most boring part of the job, until one night it wasn't, and I still don't have a clean explanation for what happened. The store I worked at was one of those big supercenters just off the highway in a small town in Ohio. The overnight crew was maybe 6 or 7 people total, spread across a building that size. After midnight, you could go 20 minutes without seeing another coworker. That was just normal. Nobody thought anything of it. My job most nights was stocking the dry goods aisles, cereal, canned stuff, pasta. It was mindless work. You get used to it fast. You put your headphones in, you move down the aisle, you do it again. By 2 a.m., the store was so quiet, you could hear the refrigeration units humming from 3 aisles over. Around 3 a.m. every night, I'd take a break from stocking and do a sweep of the parking lot to collect carts. The lot was massive. It could fit maybe 500 cars easy, and at 3 a.m. there'd be maybe 4 or 5 scattered around close to the entrance. Beyond that, it was just empty asphalt, going dark past the last row of light poles. I never minded the cart run. Honestly, it was the one part of the shift where I got some fresh air. 15 minutes, maybe 20, and then back inside. I'd done it so many times I stopped paying attention. You just push the cart collector out, grab what you find, come back in. That's all it ever was. That night, I pushed my cart collector out the front doors around 3:15 a.m. It was mid-October, cold enough that I could see my breath. I grabbed the carts near the entrance first, worked my way outward the way I always did. That's when I noticed one way out at the far end of the lot, past the last row of light poles, right at the edge where the asphalt meets the dark. I remember thinking it was odd because customers almost never parked that far out. Nobody walks that distance at 3 a.m. when the store is half empty, but carts end up in weird places. That part didn't bother me. I pushed the cart collector out there. The further I got from the entrance, the quieter it got. No road noise, no wind, nothing. Just the sound of my wheels on the asphalt. When I reached the cart, I almost didn't notice it at first. There was something sitting in the basket. I got closer and looked. It was a child's shoe, just one, a small sneaker, maybe a size 4 or 5, sitting right in the middle of the basket. I looked around. The nearest car was a couple 100 feet back toward the entrance. No other carts nearby. Nothing on the ground around it. No sign that anyone had been out there recently. I stood there for a moment. My first thought was that a kid lost it, getting in or out of a car earlier in the evening, and someone passing by put it in the cart so it wouldn't get run over. That made sense. That was almost certainly what happened. I picked it up, set it on top of the cart collector, and headed back in. I'll be honest, my stomach felt a little off on the walk back. I don't know why exactly. It was just a shoe, but something about how far out it was, how there was nothing else around it, how quiet it was out there. I kept telling myself I was making too much of it. I dropped the carts off at the front, left the shoe on the customer service counter in case anyone came back for it, and went back to stocking. I'd been in the cereal aisle maybe 20 minutes when my coworker came to find me. He said the store phone was ringing up front, and I was the closest one to it. I picked up. The voice on the other end was a woman, calm, completely normal. She said she thought she might have left something in the parking lot earlier that evening and wanted to know if anyone had found it. I asked her what she left. She said a shoe. I told her, yeah, we actually did find one. I asked for her name so I could log it and set it aside for her to pick up. The line went dead. I stood there holding the phone for a few seconds. I told myself she probably lost the signal or accidentally hit the end button. I waited by the phone for a few minutes in case she called back. She didn't. I went back to the counter and checked the exterior cameras to see if I could at least find footage of someone pushing that cart out to the far end of the lot earlier in the evening. The camera angle didn't reach that far. Nothing on any of the outside cameras showed anyone near that cart at any point in the night. I don't know who she was. I don't know how she knew to call the store. She didn't leave a name, didn't call back, never showed up. The shoe sat on that customer service counter for 2 weeks after that. Nobody ever came for it. I drove home that morning and genuinely tried to move on from it. And I mostly did for a few days. The rational explanation was still there. Kid loses a shoe, parent notices later that night, calls the store, gets cut off, figures it's not worth the trouble. That's probably what happened. But every time I did the cart run after that, I found myself slowing down when I got to the far end of the lot, just looking around before I headed back in. I never found anything out there again. I quit that job about 3 months later for unrelated reasons. The shoe thing came up maybe once or twice after that when I was telling people about weird nights at work. Most people shrugged it off. A few said it was probably exactly what I thought. A parent who lost the signal and gave up. Maybe. But the thing I couldn't get past was how fast she asked about it. No description, no hesitation. Just, did anyone find something in the parking lot? Like she already knew we had it. Like she knew exactly what it was before I said a word. I still don't know what to make of that call. That feeling of being somewhere completely routine and realizing something is off. It doesn't stay in one place. The next video is about a drive that started normally and went wrong fast. A turn onto an empty road at night and what was waiting at the end of it. I've thought about that road a lot since then, and I still don't have an explanation for what was out there.